So you've been
talking about
teaching, training, tooling people with financial tools. That's what Centonomy does,
That's
right?
What we do.
It gives people these tools.
Correct.
All right. So
what is the general thing?
What's the general thinking?
So one of our strengths, and I pray that we never lose this as Africans, is our sense of community.
Okay.
There's a sense in which we do things together. We raise children together.
Yes.
If we are building a home, it was you built it together.
Yes.
When it's planting harvest season, it's everyone is planting and harvesting. There's a sense in which we hold each other up.
When we are celebrating, we do it in community.
When you're having a wedding, it is not two people.
Yes.
It's two families. It is the community coming together.
And when there's a crisis, there's a community.
We are not so good at that, but generally, yes. On some levels we are. I think in terms of support, exactly what you said. Like if there's an illness or there's a loss of some kind, people rally around. And we are really, really good at that.
Yes.
I pray we never lose that.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been the sense in which, as Africans, that's our strength, but it can also be a weakness.
All right. So how does this inform this worldview? Me, I'm still looking for that sound bite right here. I mean, I've said for generations before, our financial legacy was their investment in their children's education. And that, they're saying, will get a return.
Yeah.
This is not happening. So what's informed that worldview?
Because that's what the world was. So every time we're talking about money, you have to think about generations ago. The wealth was land, because if you had land, or let me not just say land, it was agriculture.
The produce from the land.
So if you're saying land, you can produce animals, they reproduce, and that's what it was. So if the investment was to have children, because children were your workforce.
Workforce, right.
And then they were also your retirement strategy, because as you grow older, they're the ones who take care of the wealth and also of you.
Yes.
So if you think about it, even like in my culture, the Kikuyu culture, in fact, part of the inheritance plan was that the last born son inherited the homestead.
Yes. So the same for my community.
Yeah. So the homestead, if you're the last born son, it means you're the youngest, so you'll be there the longest.
Yes.
And yours, because your parents are living there now, you're the insurance.
Yeah.
Now, how do you apply that in a modern setting where you don't live together?
No.
You don't farm the same land.
Yes.
Everyone moves to their own place.
Yes. Somebody is in one part of the country, another part, yes.
Yeah. You own an apartment, not even a house, on a piece of land.
You're renting?
Yes. How do you apply that?
Yeah.
And that's where I think we need to make a shift culturally and just become aware of it and begin to think, what could we do better?
So do you think we are planning for retirement? There are generations that haven't. Do you think we are planning for retirement? I mean, you've been teaching this thing. You've been part of this Centonomy journey. You were saying for now, 2011?
Yes.
So in your insights that you've been getting, do you think we have been planning?
No.
We have not.
Well, not sufficiently.
Okay.
Not sufficiently. No, let me be real. You said it right. Many of us here on this continent of Africa believe if we have children, we educate them. When that was the idea. Like I even think about like my grandparents. That was the idea with their children. Now my parents' generation.
Yes.
If we educate them, they'll get a good job. If they get a good job, they'll earn money. They'll be able to take care of us and the rest of the family and everything that's going on.
Not to take it away from that generation. That we are their insurance.
Yes.
We are their retirement plan.
Correct.
Now, it came to me when I just about turned 30 years. And my father had just retired. Yeah. No, I wasn't yet 30. These are the late 20s. My father had just been able to retire. I'm the last born. And so there were many requests for bus fare, for this and that. And it was irritating me. All right? So it was irritating me. And I shared this with my friend. And my friend told me, this is actually, he ended up being the best man in my wedding. Yeah. Pinto Kali is his name. The Reverend Pinto Kali. And he looked at me and says, Gowi, just be glad your dad is alive. Because you are his insurance. Because I was telling my dad didn't plan well financially. I said he did. Look at how much is invested in you. And from that day on, I ceased looking at those requests as
a burden.
In fact, I started budgeting for my dad.
If you start the actions and the principles in your 20s, by the time you're in your 60s, by the time you're retiring at age 60, you'll be a millionaire.
Or by the time you even reach my age
by the time you're in your 50s, you can have everything that you have dreamt about if you have those principles in place.
So how is this principle being, communicated to that average 20-year-old?
Yeah, as best as we possibly can.
How do you guys do it?
Doing what I'm doing now.
There you go.
I come and sit and talk and begin to show you, listen, it's not about big numbers. If you can consistently save, if you can consistently invest, that 50 bob has great power.
So, what I know in my interaction with the younger people is there's an impatience about the future.
Yeah.
And there are also those who, build castles, chasing unicorns. So how do you balance those two? It's not hard to be ambitious.
Yeah.
There's also there's also the zeal, for people just to be able to, they want to do, they're hungry for stuff.
Yeah.
But the results you're not going to see today. So how do you temper that? And how do you harness that?
Great. So in our classes, we teach, one of the main principles that we teach is pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
Yeah. If you can do that consistently, then you will see the growth that you're talking about.
Ebu, unpack that pay yourself first. All right.
So any money that comes in to you.
To say it's 10K, 10,000 shillings.
Let's say you've received 10,000 bob.
Yes.
Okay. As a principle, you pay yourself first. Now, paying yourself first is not sherehe. Okay. It is not going out. It is not that dinner that you're going for. That is it's called your entertainment budget.
Yeah.
That's not paying yourself. Because when you go out and have a dinner or go out for drinks or do whatever it is to party, you are paying the owners of those establishments for your entertainment.
You're not paying yourself. Okay. So there's a difference between consuming that for whatever it is.
Enjoyment.
For enjoyment as opposed to paying yourself. So what's the difference?
Paying yourself
is
to save and to invest. Because that money is now yours. Yeah. So any money that comes in, if you are a Christian, I know because it's going to come up at some point. I'm having a conversation with my pastor. So if you're a Christian like I am,
I know where you're going there. It's that T word.
Let me just say it here. Let's clarify.
Yes.
You're a believer.
Yes.
We know what your faith says. So if your faith talks about giving to the Lord, give to the Lord.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. After that, you give to the authorities, which is pay your taxes as well. Okay. So let's not try and beat about the bush.
Yes.
Jesus said,
comply with the laws,
what is Caesar's and give unto the Lord what is the Lord. No problem. So do those.
Yes.
But the next person you pay is not your landlord.
Yeah.
It's not the supermarket. It is not, name all the other, your relatives.
Yeah.
The next person you pay is yourself. By doing what? Saving some. Why do we save? We save in order to build up a buffer against any emergencies that may come up along the way. So saving is to have a cash buffer that allows you, if any kind of shock comes into your life, you have cash that you can draw from. That's what savings does.
Okay.
So when you're saving, you put money into an instrument that is as secure as possible.
Yes.
Because what are you looking for with saving? You're looking for security and you're looking for access. If anything were to happen, I can get it.
You can get it.
That's why you don't save in land.
So people save in land.
Because if it's in land and an emergency happens today, how do you get it?
You go and sell it.
To who? In 2 days. And if you're selling to that guy in 2 days, it's a distressed sale.
Yes.
Therefore, you'll sell it for less than what it's worth.
You won't get
the
value for that piece of property.
So you put savings into investments that are secure and accessible.
Yes.
For emergencies.
And I'd hope in this podcast series about finances, we can be able to have some people to tell us that. But I know at Centonomy, you teach people how to do that.
We know them.
Okay.
Savings account.
Yes.
SACCOs are good for that. Now, depending if you can access your funds from that SACCO, so there's some details around SACCOs that you need to look at.
Yeah.
And other instruments like a money market fund.
Yes.
Those are generally more secure and accessible. Those are simple enough that you need to do. The other side of paying yourself first is you must invest.
Okay.
What does that mean? That you're looking for a return over time.
Yes.
So on the investment side...
So investment is looking for a return over time.
Correct.
Okay. There's short term, mid term, long term.
Yes. We are looking long term.
Okay.
Savings is where you're looking short term. So you're looking low risk.
Yes.
But where there's low risk, there's also low returns.
Yes.
But why? Because my priority when I'm saving is security.
Yes.
I don't want massive returns. I don't want don't give me 10%. No.
Yeah.
Keep my money safe.
Yeah.
And when I need it, I can get it. So my priority is that if I can get a return around that, good, praise the Lord. For investment, it shifts.
Yes.
My priority for investment is return. So I'm looking for high return options, these instruments that give me a high rate of return as my first priority. So I'll pick all these different ones. And then my next priority with investment is how do I reduce my risk? So what's the first question?
Return?
Rate of return. I want the best rate of return.
And then?
The highest.
Yes.
Then now out of these with the high rates of return, which one has the lowest risk of me losing my money?
Yes.
And how do you mitigate against those risks? Is you understand the investment, you learn about it, does it have a history, all those
do your research,
things.
And on that, yes.
And learn about it. But you must do both, Gowi. You can't just
Baka, you called me, Gowi. We are just sitting here.
You have to do both. You have to do both, save
and invest. Yeah.
Now, the mistake that we have, and that's why you had those conflicts that we have, is like men and women generally, please, I am generalizing from research. I'm not saying everyone is the same.
Okay.
But that's where the conflict happens. Yes. Women are more inclined to save.
Yes.
Men are more inclined to invest. So when you come together and you have such a different mindset, then there can be that conflict. But guess what? It's really powerful because you need both.
Absolutely.
You need someone who's going to push for security, and you also have someone to push for the
investment.
Future. Yeah.
Wow.
So because you're just by yourself, apply those two principles.
Something tells me you have just sorted out a few marriages right there, just by what you have just said.
I pray so. If I borrow to give you, and you have no obligation to pay me back with any kind of growth over time, then that is just a hole. So I've spent more than what it was worth to get this thing that I'll never get a return on. That is the danger. That's why that debt is so terrible. And you find somebody who gets into that cycle finds it extremely difficult to get out because all you're doing is digging a hole, and then you find that to dig another deeper hole in order to get out of that and keep it going down and down and down. So that's the issue around borrowing for such things.
So why is borrowing or debt such a do you think it's a crisis?
It is. The ease of borrowing is a problem.
The ease of borrowing.
Yeah.
So there are all these apps and there are all these platforms that you can be able to, available for us to do it, digital lending and stuff. So it's easier just to get into debt. What are some of the pressures that get people into debt that you see?
Look, please. And you know, every time I'm talking here in this continent, and especially in this country of ours here in Kenya, I do realize that there are people who are in abject poverty. And I mean, there are some people who they're not borrowing because they wanted to go out this weekend. They're borrowing because
things are thick.
My kids need food.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to go to school. Look, for such people, it may be a lifeline if they're disciplined around it. But it can also go terribly wrong. Okay? So we have to be sensitive around the issue. But there are some guys who it is, hey, we've gone out, it's a Friday night. Hey, the money is finished. Let me use one of these apps and borrow because we still want to enjoy it this weekend.
And I get my pay in like 2 weeks a week, so it won't hurt. Here's another 3-5K.
Yeah.
I've taken.
That's where the cycle now becomes. Then I borrow to, hey, I'm helping my buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I borrow, I got a call from up country to help. Then I borrow. And before you know it, it's a never-ending cycle. Those are the guys I'm talking to now. That you just, there it is an issue of managing what you have. And that's problematic.
So let's go back to this particular.
That's okay.
Thank you for saying. So let me go back. You talked about the word budgeting. If I budgeted, all right, am I to stick to this budget?
Yeah.
Or am I to be flexible? What is the budget there for? Because I think what I'm hearing you say is borrowing is is more an indicator to how you haven't planned.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Borrowing is an indicator that you haven't planned.
As I said, for the category we discussed.
For the category, those people who have the resources.
Especially middle class. Let me just say, the Kenyan middle class, that group.
So we haven't planned much.
That's where the issue is. So can I just talk about budgeting? Because many times when you hear the word budget, people, they start scratching. They break out in hives and things like that. It's not a fun word to hear. And let me tell you why it's not a fun word. Because often with our budgeting, we fail to plan for joy and happiness. We don't put a holiday in the budget. We don't put what's coming up. I always talk about this, especially for young guys. All the young guys who are planning to be in Naivasha for the WRC, the World Rally Championship coming up.
Yes.
See, we knew it's coming from last year.
Yeah.
Plan for it.
Yes.
So we don't plan for joy. So that the budget tends to be so boring.
Yes.
Full of everything that we don't and we hate. And therefore there's no joy in it.
So we don't plan for sherehe.
Yes.
We don't plan for,
That's why budgeting is not
We don't plan for Netflix, that Netflix
exactly.
thing. We don't plan for,
how do people budget?
Out.
This is how guys budget.
Yeah.
This is how guys budget. They say, how much is my rent?
Yeah.
How much is food?
Yeah.
How much is school fees?
How much is transport?
How much is transport?
Yes.
Once you've done that, then they have one item called miscellaneous, where everything else fits. Miscellaneous is where you find sherehe, holidays, everything, which is why it never fits.
Giving to show some money and stuff like that. Yes.
That thing called miscellaneous. I hate that word called miscellaneous. Remove it from your budget immediately. Budget should have joy in it. We're in January right now.
Yeah.
Guess what? December is coming.
Yes. We're shooting this thing in January.
Yes.
And we have another 11 months to come.
Now. Holiday in December.
Yeah.
Book it now.
Plan for it now.
Book. Pay every month. The hotel will give you a discount.
Because you've done it in advance.
The airline will give you a discount. You will go at a cheaper rate than everyone else.
If you want to have a destination thing, airline will think about it.
That's it. Building wealth, I'm not here to say is an easy thing.
No.
It is not.
Yes.
But it is a possible thing.
It's a possible thing.
You can do it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, often the indicators of what we think are wealth are not.
Hey, Ebu, the indicators we think.
Yeah. When you see somebody driving a big car, you think that guy is wealthy.
Yes.
Really?
That is not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that car, is it on loan? If it is, then he's paying more than it's worth and he's losing money in that equation.
Yes.
And many times, most of the cars that you're seeing here on the road, somebody purchased using a loan. Your house, if you own it and you live in it, does it put money in your pocket? No. So that guy who built the apartment has an asset that's putting money in his pocket. He doesn't have to ask anybody for anything when he's in that house that he's living in right there.
Yes.
So am I saying that we should all live in a small wooden house? And that's not what I'm saying. Remember, I said the lifestyle that you want.
Yes.
So design and define that lifestyle and then say, what amount of assets would I require to sustain this life and build towards that?
My challenge with that is if you give a carte blanche to people, they'll go everywhere and anywhere with, how much money they would be able to have. My thing that I'm really impressed about Centonomy is the values conversation you have that informs money decision. Talk to me about that a bit.
So I believe that we should not just be ambitious, but also, no, that's not the word. we should be realistic with our ambition. I think that's the word that we want. I want people to be ambitious. I think one of the things that has made like the US one of the most wealthy countries in the world, if you just look at it simply from its GDP, it is the biggest economy in the world, is because ambition is built into their DNA. You know?
It's now happening in China also, right?
Yes. Like where you see growth, there's a national ambition that we can do more, that we can build more, that we can create more. I think that's a vital thing. And I love the young people of this country. I told you, those thousands who came for our open day, all of them, young guys are coming and saying, how do I do this? How do I get this? How do I build this? And I love that. So it's vital that we have ambition. That's a key part of it. But be realistic about it. And so the example I always give to young guys is I tell them, you cannot save to become a billionaire. So you have to invest, or you have to build a business that's going to get you there.
You cannot save to become a billionaire.
You can't.
It ain't going to happen.
The mathematics will tell you that.
Yes.
Here's simple maths. If I saved $1 million, Bob, every month, it would take me 83 years. I'm saving how much every month?
$1 million.
$1 million.
Yes.
It would take me 83 years to hit first billion. Yes. So when you look at guys who are billionaires, they didn't save.
Yes.
They built something of value that was able to multiply over time. So if your ambition is that, then change what you're doing on this other side to get you to that. So we are in that space of saying, if you have a goal, set a goal, and then actually work towards it. Be ambitious, but have a plan behind it. So when we talk about this, we're talking about purposeful people. That's another issue that we face, because even in our mission statement, we say we are trying to shift mindset so that purposeful people can create wealth and live abundantly. So first of all, be purposeful. This thing about just living randomly, doing whatever, go to school, get a job, get married and die. That's not life. Plan, say the things that you want, be purposeful, they'll guide you in that way. But secondly, we believe in abundance. This is probably one of the wealthiest continents on earth as far as our resources are concerned, human and natural. Why can't we keep that wealth here? Our faith and our belief is that we can do it. So if it's only an educational factor that is separating us from that opportunity that's there. So we believe strongly that on this continent of Africa, we will generate wealth.